I'm going to call this meeting to order. Let's stand and recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's pray. We ask for your presence in this meeting as we strive to be productive and efficient in our discussions. Help us to stay focused and on task. Give us creative ideas and solutions that will bring about positive results. Brief moment for your own intentions. A motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda. Second.
Motion a second to approve the agenda. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Opportunity for public comment. This is the opportunity for public to get before us and discuss items of interest to the county. Typically we allow 3 minutes per person. I know there's some people here to discuss solar. Let's just handle that first. I'm going to cap that at about probably 15 minutes total, but I'll give you 3 minutes per person. So, well, that's why I limit it. No, yeah, if you'd want to come forward, Mr. McGriff. So we'll start. Or if you, Tim, make sure that microphone is on so we catch. Well, this goes over live stream.
Got to record you.
If the green light is on.
There we go.
Yeah.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim McGriff, Meade County resident. I'm here to talk about the solar plants for Meade County. You know, it's a concern throughout our whole state. I mean, God has given us beautiful land, ranch land, farmland to be stewards to, and that's what I'm here. You know, yes, I believe in property rights up until the point that it affects your neighbors. You put in a 2,000-acre solar plant. I don't call them solar farms. They're not farms at all. They're solar plants. Now, that neighbor next to that is going to raise his insurance. It's going to lower his property evaluations. You know, so that's affecting them. Yes, right now, President Trump has stopped all funding for these, so I think the foot is off the gas in so many areas here. But this is not the time to take our foot off the gas because there's all kinds of foreign interests that are supporting these, that are going in and with funding these permits and stuff like that. I don't want to see Meade County covered up with solar panels, wind farms, any of that. They're totally. I've had several meetings, large meetings. West River Electric have been there. A 2,000-acre solar plant will produce enough electricity for 1,800 homes for 20% of the day. Well, that's not much. We can't fight the fires on them. You're told to just let them burn. Well, that's good toxic, you know, cadmium and PFAS and everything else burning in the area. Then it catches fire and burns grasslands all the way around it. That's where our firefighters can help. You can't fight these unless you're got lots of foam and that's too expensive to fight. What I'm asking the Meade County Commissioners today is just to be aware, let's start looking to the future. Let's be proactive. Let's keep our foot on the gas, kind of like Walworth County and Stanley County. They did a great job. Pennington County, yeah, luckily they have zoning. We don't have zoning here. So what I'm looking for today is a moratorium, either on solar and wind or setbacks. Our setbacks right now aren't enough. Like Walworth County, their setbacks are at least 1 mile from any occupied dwelling, including modular and manufactured homes, solar panels will be kept at least 1,000 feet from any property lines that are non-SES project parcels. So that's Walworth County. And I didn't print out their whole deal, but I did on
time, Mr. McGriff.
I got one more, Gary.
Just briefly.
And on Stanley County, let me get to page 7 here. I'll have to get my glasses on here. Stanley County is 15,840 feet setback from any business, public building, and on the, let's see, the setback from any property line shall be 7,290 feet from any overhead electrical line. So what I'm asking us to do is to be proactive here. Let's get a better setbacks and a moratorium or whatever that we need to get to keep solar from tearing up our and wind.
Thank you, Mr. McGriff.
All right.
Could you email that information to?
Oh, yeah.
We'd appreciate that.
You betcha.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak on solar?
Pat and I were talking in the hall.
I saw that.
I saw you went ahead. Let's help it, Pat and I.
Well, it was past 9 o'clock
I know.
for the record, so go ahead, sir.
Good morning. I'm Kyle Fisher. I'm a neighbor of Tim's, a little bit south of him, and basically across the road, from what I understand, is probably a proposed site for a solar field. And I would like to see, I was noticed on the front page of the Rapid City Journal this week that they're looks like they're going to really put in some restrictions on renewable energy, the windmills and the solar fields, and I would like to see Meade County adopt something similar that makes it more difficult to do. Living straight across from it, I certainly worry about property value and the view we have of Bear Butte and the lake below us, but obviously that's a sucks to be you kind of position that I think most people would look at if, well, you bought where you bought and you take what you get. But it's amazing how people that are even receptive to solar take some negative views of it. I've noticed in 2013 there was a huge plant built in California along I-15, Mojave Desert, out in I forget the name of the lake, but the drivers on I-15 say the glare is so bad you can't stand to even drive by the thing. Well, imagine living next to that, and you're not just going by it for a minute. My wife gets migraine headaches. And you can find online all kinds of positive and negative horror stories to it's the greatest thing ever about renewable energy. But I guess I look at the undisputed facts, what other countries in the world are doing. And like China has hands down recognized as the leader in renewable energy, put it in vehicles or energy production. Yet in 2022, they massively increased the amount of oil they're importing from Russia. I mean, if this is such a great, because I look at, well, everyone loves the power of the sun, feels good on your back. If you could harness that, why wouldn't you do it? But I think you do have to look at both economic and environmental impact. And if why would they be massively increasing all that oil from Russia if it was working, if it was giving them, renewable options in vehicles and in just domestic energy production for what you do in a building? France is going even heavier into nuclear. They've watched Spain and Germany go jump all in on renewables, and yet France is going even heavier into nuclear. They'd had a plan 10 years ago in 2015 to cut back their nuclear to 50% of national energy production. Now they're at 70. They've actually increased because they've seen what a boondoggle it's been for Germany and France. And so I guess I look at what are we really getting out of it in return? As the American taxpayer, we have hands down the largest military budget in the world. But it's pretty obvious. You look at Iran in June and Venezuela recently, we're probably getting a return on our dollar for that investment. I'm not so sure economically or environmentally, and I recently learned just what the environmental cleanup is on some of these large solar sites. I just kind of assumed, well, it's perfect, right? But even that huge one in 2013, I'm out of time.
Yep, your time.
The huge one in 2013, they've already shut down 2/3 of the production. And this was in California with corporate interests that know how to play the tax and subsidy game. So I would strongly encourage to take a policy like Pennington County and make it tougher to just drop them in anywhere.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher.
You're
Anybody else wish to speak on solar? Just if you'd wait to introduce yourself, Miss Mann, until you get to the microphone, please. That's important because it'll be on our YouTube channel as well. So
Angie Mann, and I live east of the solar. I just want to know what you want us to do to prevent this type of things from moving in. I mean, just come here. What can we do to help you get a hold on somebody buying the land and putting on there whatever they want?
okay, I'll hold the questions from the commissioner. I'll let the commissioner speak after public testimony is done.
Okay. But yeah, it isn't. I don't believe that it's been around long enough for us to know what the end result is. You know, who does the cleanup? Who pays for that? And there's a lot of animals and antelope and birds and, you know, migratory animals that go through there. And really, I think it probably cuts through the Fort Pierre Deadwood Trail. You know, there's a lot of history there from when our pioneer people came through, and we'd like to just preserve that if we could, and just keep it a big pasture if we can. Yeah.
I'm glad to see you in person.
Oh, you too. Nice
Okay.
to meet you, Dory.
Nice.
Thanks, Miss Mann. Anybody else wish to speak on solar? Anybody else wish to speak? Not, I'll close public testimony on solar. We've had a couple questions. Does any commissioners want to tackle any of these questions?
I'll just make a couple points. For the gentleman that talked about what Pennington County is doing, they're doing it through zoning. We don't have. So they've got a little bit different toolbox in Pennington County to do that type of stuff because they're restricting it to only certain zoned areas. And my understanding of the changes, it won't allow it in ag zoned areas. You'd have to go in and go through a whole public hearing on just even changing the zoning if you're going to go into an ag area. So we don't really have that toolbox. We do have a separate ordinance that addresses electrical generation through solar and wind. Our setbacks aren't as much, but we've done some of it through ordinance. Obviously, I've never thought, frankly, some of this renewable energy is real practical from an economic standpoint. It was motivated by the taxes, but we've only got certain tools by which we can address that. But we've tried to address it through an ordinance some. So if you look at our ordinance, obviously I was just looking at it, our setbacks aren't as big as some of those that you've mentioned. And there probably could be some tweaks to that ordinance, such as maybe a little bit bigger setbacks and maybe even some berming and things like that that would cut off the vision, which I know in some areas they require that, where they will require you to put either berm it or put trees to break up the site and to break up like that glare issue. Obviously, you don't grow a lot of trees in the desert, but or in western South Dakota for that matter. But, so I think there's some considerations there that potentially we could do, but we can't really follow the Pennington County way. Going, ma'am, to your question, what can you do to be ahead of it? I mean, we could have zoning. If you recall, there were some people that are upset about a mine going in by Piedmont. Totally understand it. The comment I made to them, there's probably 100 people here that day. I said, well, bring forth a petition or something saying it, because last time we up here passed zoning, it got beat 4-1. And that's a lot of effort for a county to put together a zoning plan and put together the employees that can support it, and then just have it referred and beat. So, unless I can't really get behind expending all that effort unless I know we've had a change in the personality out there, and I've basically seen nothing from that group at this point. So, those types of things, if you could talk to your neighbors, get some support for zoning out there, because I think zoning, quite frankly, protects the people here already. But there seems to be a mindset that everybody thinks if there's zoning, it restricts me somehow. And it can to a certain degree, but I think the protections outweigh the concerns. Those would be my comments. Thanks for coming today.
Anybody else?
Just quick Google search. It looks like both Walworth and Stanley counties do have zoning as well.
I think there's only 4 counties that do not have zoning, but I could be wrong on that. But anybody else? Yeah, I obviously I ranch just north of all of you guys, and last thing I want to see is solar panels covering, especially that beautiful valley down there. Makes me sick to think because I drive in there at least once a week. I do agree with Commissioner Wyzorik. There are some, I don't know how far some of the setbacks we can go on. With that said, I think there is some tweaks to some of the setbacks we could do, is getting some additional setbacks on that. I was pretty proud when we wrote that ordinance. It was one of the first things we did when I came on the commission. I think the first reading was the meeting prior to me joining this commission. And so I had the opportunity to work with Bill Rich on that ordinance, and kind of proud of some of the things we got put on there that was a little more landowner friendly, to be honest with you. They don't look like as much compared to some of these counties, but at the time it felt like we were taking a big ask. At that time it was 5 times further than the setback Pennington had to residential houses. Obviously it's probably the same in their ordinance, but how they have it zoned now, it doesn't reflect that. And that was a tough ordinance to write. We had people on both sides, taxpayers on both sides. We got a landowner just east of Sturgis here, 3 different landowners that have been Meade County ranchers for a long time, and they were very supportive and anti that ordinance and wanting to see more solar, as well as a lot of residents that did not want solar at all. So that's what I find interesting. I've always said the easiest way to fill this room is to start writing an ordinance, and because you will get people coming out of the woodworks on both sides, and it gets very challenging because that's when you really hear from both sides. The topic of zoning gets brought up more and more and more and more all the time. I know it was very negative, or I come from. There was people that was very adamantly against zoning. I don't know where any of you guys stand, but I find it interesting. The shooting range came up here right before I got in the commission 4 years ago. And now the issue with these mines and solar keep getting brought up. So I'm not advocating for or against zoning right now, but at the same time, it would be a useful tool when we get into these discussions. There's no doubt about that. Like I said, I do see some areas in our setbacks. We've got to be careful with how these ordinances are wrote. It's easy for people such as ourselves sitting up here to make political statements and tell people what they want. But I also like to point out the handcuffs the state puts on local governments, and state statute, or this might be an administrative rule, but 2010-2219 requires the applicant to abide by all local rules. But then it goes on to say that if they can prove, or the state feels the local rules are too restrictive, the state can override them, essentially. So the state kind of puts the local governments in a tough position in more areas than one. We're, in my opinion, seeing that with some of the mining stuff that's been coming up. So it gets kind of us on an island, because it's going to be easy to tell people what they want to hear. I want to take a look at these setbacks. You have my words, I'm going to take a look at them. But with that said, we've got to be careful. We've got to do something that's going to work. So that's about all I have. Does anyone have any more before we move on?
Well, Angie, I can tell you, and I'm pretty confident in this, that there's no way we can not allow somebody to buy property. That no government, I don't think any government has that authority unless the state passed something about foreign countries or China buying near something, didn't they, a year or two ago? Huh?
Near the base.
Near the base. Other than that, it's outside our jurisdiction. I think you probably are talking to the choir when you talk about wind and solar. You mentioned oil in China. China, I think, also is building a coal plant a day or something. And I don't think they have any solar farms. They just build them for the U.S. They're great business people. I agree with everything my fellow members have said.
One other comment I think is, I believe the last solar farm they're leasing the property. They didn't actually buy the property. So, I mean, there's that too.
Oh, in fact, the one east of town, not too far from the airport, that is all leased land. But it never came to fruition for several reasons. One obstacle that they did not like was the commission's refusal to vacate that section line. I think they've gone through different owners, and I think as long as federal subsidies have kind of dried up, we won't hear much until there's probably a change in administration or philosophy, and it'll probably be back roaring again.
I will also note, and then we need to move on, that there has not been an application for a solar farm in Meade County, to my knowledge, unless something has just recently developed. The one east of Sturgis, and that was approved, but we did not vacate a section line, and that did hang them up. In the beginning, we were told they were coming back, but they have yet to do so. But there has not been anything. There's been rumors. There's no doubt about that, but there has not been anything that's even applied to be looked at. Let's move on. Is there anything that the public would like to bring? Well, I typically don't, Ms. Mann, but go ahead. Yeah, go ahead quickly. We can't. I don't even know what that would look like. We'd have to discuss with our legal team. So, yep. So, anything else that someone wants to bring before the public, or for public comment? Wants to bring before us for public comment? Anything else for public comment? Not, I'll close public comment. We'll move on to the Register of Deeds. Anybody here from the Register of Deeds? The Sheriff's Office.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. 2026 started off like the winds here, 100 miles an hour for us at the Sheriff's Office. We had several call-outs already in the month of January. Some serious cases involving aggravated assaults. One in particular with a deputy that received minor injuries during the incident, but they're doing well. So we've had to call out investigators to deal with that. Also, we work in an attempted murder case that's pretty serious, and so yeah, it's been a little crazy. We are full staff in the deputies still. We are one down in dispatch, working on that, and we are two down in the jail. So seeking applicants for that. Just some numbers in the end of the year 25. Our calls for service exceeded 21,000 calls. It was 21,530. If you compare that to 2022, it's about a 100% increase. We had 10,875 calls for service in 22. Now, that could be that some of the recordings may not be as accurate back then, because we did change some things when I came in 23. So, but it's gradually gone up. 23 was 13,000, 24 was 18,000. Of course, 25 is now 21,000. So calls for service are kind of going through the roof. A lot of that has to do with just crime in general, but also it has to do with our civil process. That has exploded as well for whatever reason. Chief Deputy John seemed to think that people are meaner nowadays is the reason. So, but not sure on that.
What have been your main civil warrants?
Lot of his executions, but subpoenas, criminal subpoenas, things like that. Our distress warrants were pretty high as well. So it's
it's
across
lack
the
of
board.
funds that have been prompting some of these things.
Right, I believe so, yeah. And, of course, with the increase in civil brings a lot more money in for us, too. Some of the highlight stuff was, our civil, we brought in over $100,000. Out of county jail housing was $535,000. If you add all that up for 2025, money brought back into the county was around $950,000 total, which is good. But it highlights the good work that our people doing there at the sheriff's office, and how things are being handled too. So, Rhea brought up earlier about the policy stuff that we have in the jail. I wasn't aware of it, but apparently we've got 2 or 3 versions of policy. One we've been following. So Caleb has been trying to narrow that down, has talked to Ken quite a bit. That policy is going to change. A majority of it's going to change due to the fact of our new medical situation, plus Reliance. We're adding some options for our texting, our audio calling, and things like that for our inmates. So a lot of that's going to change as well. So once we get that finalized, we'll make sure that we get that shared with you guys. We want to be careful on how much we share, because some of our policy also has operational things on how we deal with inmates and transporting and things like that. So, but the inmates do get a subversion of that policy through their texters, so that'll be available as well. So,
well, as you know, I have a habit of, when I think about it, checking that Facebook site that gets those arrest people, which we still have not figured out how they get that data, have we?
Yeah, I don't know, because it doesn't come from the sheriff's office.
I know it doesn't,
yeah,
and
I don't know.
I asked the old sheriff if he knew where it came from too, but I've noticed, in light of everything we see on the national television, that you do have a couple of inmates that have been arrested for, I don't remember if they were simple assault, domestic assault, or ag assault, but they were assaults, and they're also being held for ICE. Do you have any idea how many, how these apprehensions have come into play? I know we don't have ICE people out there, but you just found them, and I know when I was over there, if a foreigner came in, we automatically called ICE and asked if they wanted a hold or whatever. But I noticed that they've entered the jail by committing alleged violent crimes.
Sure, I think a lot of the contacts happen on the interstate. Majority probably occurs through the highway patrol.
Sure, it doesn't stipulate on there the arresting agent.
Right.
Yeah,
and so if they are in our jail, they're here for a very, very short time. I think we've had 2 in the last 6 months, but it's been very short because HSI will come pick them up pretty quick.
Yeah, I saw 2 in January, yeah. So then, do we get to charge the government? I'm sorry. You know, we have to.
Hey, I'd be just happy if they take them away and we don't have to pay to care for them.
Yeah.
I know. That's true.
But if we can charge them, that'd be great too.
Yeah.
I can remember there were times when we had to find people who spoke French. You laugh. They came from France to go march up there along the pipeline and got arrested for drugs.
Those French.
Their mother called all the time.
I just want to note Sheriff West and Caleb and Commissioner Creed and I and Deborah at HR and Jackie at HR as well met with the NMR last week, or is it time flies? So
Yeah, it was last week.
as well as the candidate that they wanted to put forward for the nurse practitioner, and it seems like that's running smoothly thus far. I don't think you probably
Yes.
have any more news than that.
No, that person came over and did a tour and got comfortable with what's going on. Obviously, she's going to take a little bit of time to get comfortable, but yeah, it's looking good.
And I assume is she going to come back prior to her start date to make sure we have all the equipment she needs in that area cleaned out?
Yes, and I think they went over that somewhat when she was here, but yeah, Caleb's on top of that to make sure that she's going to have everything needed and room. So.
Oh, the back room is getting cleared out.
Yeah, we're gonna renovate what we have and fix that.
Any other questions for Sheriff West? Thank you, Sheriff West. State's Attorney's Office. You have a report to the State's Attorney's Office, Ken? Thank you. Treasurer's Office. How's things going down there, Doreen? You're liaison to that department.
Oh, busy as usual. State wants more things, doesn't give us any money to do it. They have more proposals this legislative session for us to do more things at the county level rather than at the state level, and again, no change in compensation. But I wouldn't want to give anybody the opinion that I think the state is doing anything wrong.
The system is still broken from what I
The
understand.
system is still broken. It's been implemented, let's see, in February, and Valentine's Day it'll be a year. And they still don't, the state still doesn't have all the patches done. Nor will something necessarily work one day and then the next. And it's a cry that's heard statewide.
Okay.
And there's a new person down there.
Oh, great. That brings us to C1, planning. Ended up with a vacancy on our planning board. Resignation. So, therefore, it would make the most sense to, we had 2 nominees that we accepted at our last meeting, and it'd make the most sense to put both of those, in my opinion, unless I hear objections, to put both of those in for a full 2-year term. And I think that's, I believe that's what you were wanting. Is no? Okay.
So,
I'll let the planning chair discuss.
yeah, so
what
we
he
had
wants.
a unexpected resignation from planning. Mike Charnholm, who's been on for a number of years, done great service, but he had some reasons that he felt he couldn't regularly make the meetings going forward, so we had also just recently appointed Scott Norman to fill out a position that's coming open in March. That's Roger Gallimore, who also has had some changes in things he's doing outside of the county, where he felt that he couldn't regularly attend. His term, though, was only till the end of this year. So we had appointed Scott Norman to fulfill that term. What I would propose is that we switch Scott Norman to fulfill Mike Charnholm's term, which will, and board might remember that there had been some staggering issue, that we had some issues with the fact that we weren't, somehow at some point in the past we didn't properly have the planning people staggered. So we need to correct that staggering issue. Double checking on, I can make sure I say it correctly. Just give me a moment. So what we would look at is, I would propose, the motion I'm going to make is to change Scott Norman's position from taking over the remainder of Roger Gallamore's position to taking over Mark Arnholm's position, and have that position expire at the end of 2028, so we get our staggering correct, and make it comply with statute.
Is that form of the motion? That's a motion.
Yes, I'll make a motion to have Scott Norman assume a term exited by Mike Charnholm, and that we declare that term expire on 12/31/2028.
I'll second. I think I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm just glad we have attorneys that can say things better than ranchers. So, because I think I said the same thing. But let's move. Motion and second on the floor to have Scott Norman take over Mike Charnholm's position, and that position will expire on 12/31 of 2028. Any more discussion to that motion?
The one thing I'd like to say is Mike will be missed. He's a fantastic person on that board, and he really has done a great job for the county.
Yeah, I would totally agree. Mike's done a great job. He grew up in this area. He knew the area. He's also works in the construction infrastructure area, so he could provide insight on different proposals by developers from a professional background. One benefit is Mr. Norman's an engineer who works in the construction industry, also at a raw materials level. But I think he'll be helpful to have on the board, having that extra expertise on the board, and having that construction industry can be really helpful.
I think we should have our record reflect our appreciation. And I got to thinking, even though these individuals probably already have walls full of plaques or whatever, and I'm not sure we did it last time, and maybe we should go back and pick it up, but we should at least give our board members who have contributed so much time and energy to this, and it can be a really thankless job, at least a plaque of appreciation at a board meeting or whatever. I mean, they can throw it in their drawer if they want or whatever, but at least it's kind of symbolic of our appreciation.
Motion and second on the floor. Any more discussion to that motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Yeah, I was just curious if Doreen wanted to follow up with doing something to recognize Mr. Charnholm.
Well, I mean,
you can just get through this first. Thank you. And I guess I would like to open up nominations for that other position.
So that does free up then the position of Roger Gallimore, who it will resign effective after the next meeting. Again, Mr. Gallimore has been great to have. He's a good calming influence who's good at seeing, which sometimes I need the calming influence when I'm on that board, and provides good insight. He's one of the things he's doing is he's taken over the president of a church on a church association on a nationwide basis. But a lot more travel, and he's got some other stuff going on where he just didn't feel he could commit the time. So I'm going to nominate one of the other applicants we had, Christian Morgan. Mr. Morgan grew up in the area. He retired law enforcement. He was down in Colorado for a number of years, has moved back to the area. He worked with city planning after he retired from law enforcement. That would be nice. I think it would be nice to have somebody on the board who has a city planning experience and some plating experience and understands what some of the impacts of a continued development have in an area. So I would recommend that he fill that term that will then expire at the end of this year.
I have a second for
Second.
we got a motion and a second to nominate Mr. Christian Morgan. Is there any other nominations for the planning board?
I'd like to nominate Dane Boomsma.
Chair will second. So we have a Christian Morgan and Dane Boomsma up for the planning board. Any other nominations for the planning board? Any other nominations for the planning board? I'll close nominations this time for the planning board. Is there, I guess the best way to do this would be to take a vote. Who votes for, all those in favor? I'll just do a roll call vote. All those, this Christian Morgan, who would like to vote for Christian Morgan? I'll start with Mr. Wyzorek.
I'd vote for Mr. Morgan. I appreciate Mr. Boomsma. He works hard in the area and he contributes, but I think this is probably a better fit for this board.
I'll just go down the line. Just say who you'd like to vote for. Commissioner Severn. Commissioner Liggett.
Christian Morgan.
Commissioner Creed.
Christian Morgan.
Okay, then therefore having 3 votes, Christian Morgan is declared the winner. And he will become, that will be for a, I guess we'll approve. The motion then is for a, to finish out the term, is that correct?
Yeah, he'll finish out Roger Gallimore's term, which terminates this year, and then we take applications again. He can apply at that time, or anybody else can reapply at that time.
So all those in favor of that motion, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Creed, would you like to give an update on your library, or the committee's library board appointment?
Oh, sure. Kathy Christensen was appointed to the library board. He's a longtime resident of Sturgis, Fort Meade. She also worked at the Chamber of Commerce for a number of years.
Thank you for taking that on, Commissioner Creed. Brings us to Highway.
Good morning, Commissioners. Troy Eastman, Highway Superintendent. Oh, yeah. First agenda item, or I guess my only agenda item, is the Bridge Inspection Program resolution. This is just an annual selection that we do. In the past, we've had Bros Engineering as our consultant to go and do our bridge inspections, which, you know, some of them are annually and some of them are every other year, so they have an ongoing record of, you know, the condition of our bridges. And that's who I would recommend, I guess, to continue, just because it's, like I said, they keep an ongoing record of it. They know what we have and what we don't have, what needs to be worked on, and they handle our big grant stuff. Nothing wrong with any of these companies up here, but that's just how I feel about it right now.
Any questions on this resolution for Mr. Eastman?
I'd like to second what Troy said. Bros has done a great job. They have the history and the knowledge. We have 10 structures now. I think we've gotten rid of a couple off of our bridge inventory, but they do know the bridges, and it makes sense to have them in there.
Any questions, comments on this resolution and/or action?
Make a motion to select Bros as the bridge inspection consultant.
So to pass this resolution and to have Bros Engineering. Any more discussion to that motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I think
all those bridges.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want a miracle. No bad news this year.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Jinxing us
no
now.
rotting timbers.
Oh, well, yeah.
Okay.
He wants you to
I
change
can-
laws of physics.
I can guarantee that on one bridge.
Anything else on highway? Or you just scared him now, Doreen.
Kind of not part of this, but Rhea, is that information you just sent, the information supporting what the state needed?
We'll have to do some research to find the information needed. Are
But that's what,
you talking the email that I just, yes.
out of scope here, but
I didn't get an email.
Yeah, we got some secret stuff going on here, it sounds like.
Mm.
If you would all like to be involved, we're more than welcome to have
I
you.
can
We welcome you.
up to speed.
Okay.
Unless it's something you think it's important, let's move on to the auditor. Okay, let's move on to the auditor.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Dawn Christensen, Meade County Auditor. In our report, we have the updated December numbers for apportioning court-appointed attorney fees and court costs invoiced and collected, updated voter registrations through January 21st, December 2025 bank accounts have been reconciled and balanced. Other than that, we have mostly ongoing projects with our end-of-year reporting, the legislative audit, and getting ready to start the annual audit for 2025. And of course, the elections. We're already busy with the election preparations and petitions going out and coming in and validating signatures. We also have the January 23rd, the second payroll overtime report.
You know, Don, when I was looking at this overtime report, I was wondering if for some perspective here, you could give us the amount of overtime hours in 25 as a comparison, maybe 24 and 25. See if we're making any headway,
Compare
or
it
if we're going further in the dump.
You want to compare it to the same pay period in
Same
25.
pay periods.
Okay.
In fact, Pat, I was wondering when I was looking at this, you said you guys had so many calls out, et cetera. Is that what contributed to about the equivalent of 3 people's about 3 work week overtimes for that pay period? Okay. I didn't know if people were on vacation. I was hoping we hadn't lost anybody.
Is there any more questions for the auditor? No, let's move down to commission. Have a report from DNR.
You know, I have a question about that. I went to AI, I went to Gemini, try to find this location. And again, you all know how much I love DANR. But how can you put 1,000 head of cattle on 16 acres and for water and stuff? I mean, this is just right up over the hill. I don't think there is any feedlot up there that's that big. Why would they possibly put 1,000? Yeah. And then it was, you know, it was approved in November and come in for training in December, and it's just right off Whitewood Valley Road. I mean, I know there's no big operation up there like that. Their rules apparently in all areas need rewriting, not just gravel pits. I mean, Do you put up to 1,000 head on 16 acres, Gary?
Well, you got it. Yeah, no.
And I realize that is
this is fairly ironic, simply because there's a lot of feedlots that have 900 and some head of cattle,
and that's
because you got to be and I can't remember the exact number where you got to be permitted at, but because there is a lot of restrictions that go when you get permitted. You got to have, obviously, this is for manure management. You got to have lagoons. You may have to have, some people have to haul soil in, different layers of different soil for drainage so that it doesn't run off. So it gets fairly restrictive. So obviously this permit is important to have for Mr. Morris. But with that said, like you said, I don't know as if there is a lot that size up there.
Well, I didn't think so, and I knew there was lots of different restrictions because it has certainly held up the reuse of the livestock exchange up here due to the, ground of manure and stuff. But I thought maybe that was the smallest permit that they gave.
It probably is. It probably is because I think that's the number. I don't know the exact number, but it's after so many head, which is probably 1,000. You have to be permitted. Otherwise, you don't have. That's why I say there's a lot of feedlots that are at 950 head or whatever that number is.
It was really strange looking up Gemini because it was a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house and how much it sold for, and 15-acre plots, but nothing about.
I'm glad you're utilizing data centers.
Well, so then I went and I looked up mine, and I found out that I lived on a 2-acre lot, which I found rather surprising since I think it's about, I don't know, what would you say? Maybe 40 foot wide.
I heard I need to raise your assessment.
Well, if I ever decide to start feeding more calves, Doreen, I'll be calling you to get advice.
Well, no, I was just surprised that they put it.
You've done a lot of reading. I'm glad you did.
I didn't think we had any 1,000-acre feedlots around here. Plus,
well, that's not.
AI had it in Lawrence County, not Meade County, and so I didn't know if DANR or. I'm sure people could
animal
possibly,
confinement, so that's not too. I mean, 1,000 head in a confined area isn't. It's not.
We can get cozy
in there.
It's not
huge. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Not a massive operation.
Yeah. No, not necessarily. Let's move on.
Well, I just thought I would show you. I do check this stuff out.
No. Let's move on to the appointment of the designee for South Dakota Department of Public Safety Wildland Fire Division. We had to update this last year, I do believe, because it had Ted's name on it still, and he's obviously off the commission. I don't think if we've replaced it with my name as chairman. If that's fine with everyone, I don't think we need to take any action, but I just wanted everyone aware that they were asking Rhea who we wanted on there as a contact person. This is just a contact person. I also had Rhea put on the resolution that we passed in 2024. Again, unless there's a change that someone feels it's needed, we don't need to change this resolution or take action on it. I just wanted this to be a refresher to remind us what we did, which it included before our resolution. I think it only required the chairman to authorize slurry bombers and stuff coming in. I know I certainly wasn't comfortable with that. This requires this allows the emergency manager to expend funds up to $5,000. This resolution does. After that, he has to get the approval of at least 2 Meade County commissioners. Is what we put in here. Again, unless you guys feel there's a change needed, there's no action need to be taken on it. I just wanted this to be aware that my name will be back on the Wildland Fire, as well as what we have for this resolution. Questions, comments on that before we move on?
I have no comments on that resolution, or you being on
Let's move down to Sturgis Animal Shelter. We've been in contact with the city of Sturgis. In years past, we have not paid anything for the use of stray dogs that come in out of the county to this. They are asking that we would contribute some to that. This is the contract. The original one, which was posted, had Meade County Sheriff's Office on it. There's a red line version on here as well that reflects the change. Contracts are between the county, and so I guess it actually so that would reflect that this contract needs to be copied and sent to the Sheriff's Office. Sheriff West has looked this over as well, right, Sheriff West? But from what went originally posted, those are really the only changes, that the contract is with the Meade County and not the Sheriff's Office. I believe they're asking for $15,000. Is that? I've read it, but I'm just trying to find
dogs portion.
Yes, so that'd be $15,000 a year is what we will pay the city of Sturgis, according to this contract.
Well, there's some per charge animals charges too.
The non-dogs, is that cats too? I'm assuming.
We told them, we understand they've brought in Bambi and stuff too, and rabbits and stuff. And we told the city, the county doesn't have any rules against rabbits at large. And Bambi, they need to call Cisco, the Game Fish and Parks warden. There's no need for them to house or take those animals. We want them at large.
If we don't have an ordinance preventing them from being at large, we shouldn't be.
Right.
Well, I guess that brings up the good. I missed this. I apologize.
It's probably worth maybe having the sheriff and Ken both.
Yeah, would you guys want to come up, Sheriff? Sheriff West,
that's your
Ken?
favorite topic, so.
The only thing we have an ordinance on, to my knowledge, is dogs. Is that
dogs at large off of people's property? That's my understanding.
That's correct. The only situation that may come up is abuse of an animal.
Yeah.
That's not regulated by ordinance, but state law.
Right. When we had to, when somebody's starving horses or something.
Yeah.
I guess what the non-dogs portion of this is $150 per animal. That's saying if they're brought in they have MSCO. I assume that is supposed to mean MCSO, Meade County Sheriff's Office.
So
I'm assuming if we bring them in, that's what they're going to charge us, is what that means.
Yeah, see, the abbreviation they're using is so in the first part of the agreement. But I think the agreement probably has to be at the county, and then have the sheriff be one of the contacts on it. Unless you want to pay for it. Unless you're going to start processing checks.
I think that's how the top is rewritten.
I pulled up one.
It does say Meade County, on behalf of Meade County Sheriff's Office, referred to as MCSO now.
Yeah, that's I had, you had contacted me, Commissioner Wyzorek, and Ken had a suggestion, and so I told Rhea just to put the red line in there as with those comments. And you checked with the city administrator, and he would accept those changes as well. So
I think the red line's under administrator.
Yeah.
That's probably where.
The part I was looking at is in DE sub DE3, which is non-dogs. Dogs is an annual fee of $15,000, and if you go to number 2, the non-dogs portion, it appears it's $150, but it says if the non-dog is received by, they have MSCO, but I'm sure they must.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I do have a Word version that was sent by the city, so I can correct that before
Yeah,
sending it
that's
back.
not a big deal, but I'm assuming what they're implying is that if our sheriff's deputies bring those in, that's when we pay the honor kitchen. And I guess that would be fair. Like I said, I don't think we need to pay for anything but dogs, but I guess if your deputies bring them in, I probably have
Yeah,
to.
I would agree. I mean, I think if the sheriff brings a cat in that's bitten somebody and it's rabid, we probably have to deal with that.
Right, we'll use discretion with that.
Yeah. So, because I was originally going to say we should probably take that out, but then
I think
after
there's probably
seeing if
cases.
after it says that if you guys bring them in, then it's
And your guys won't bring them in unless eat more than vicious
Chickens.
chickens. Oh yes, don't bring.
Any other questions, comments?
You know they did house chickens too. Rabbits, chickens, and Bambi.
Yeah, I mean,
Poor Cisco. Make sure deputies have his
well,
number.
wildlife should be dealt with by game fish.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. I mean, we shouldn't be in that because they have all their. That's all state regulation. How they deal with that. So, I know deputies get in tough situations sometimes they're in the middle of it, and people are telling them and got to do something, but
It's likely emotional most times.
yes, there's a poor chicken running.
Any other questions, comments to this contract?
Well, I did call for the raccoon that was in my kitchen, but
Any other questions, comments to this contract and or action?
I'll make a motion to approve the amended, to make the change in the contract to say Meade County on behalf of the Sheriff's Office. This has been a long-standing conversation. So.
And then also you also okay with the copy to Meade County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, copy
at the
to.
bottom? Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion and a second to approve this contract with the amended language that's in red. Any other discussion to that motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. F4, Department of Health contract. This is from the Department of Health for the county nurse. I will say it's a kind of a amusing story. Wade Huntington approached Rhea and asked if we had this done, and apparently he had sent this to me and not Rhea, which is his mistake. But Tony has us trained so well that I had deleted this contract, so Rhea had to hunt it back down. So.
This was a budgeted number.
Yes. Which, note, it was $12,000. It was $24,000 last year. We lowered it, but also make a note. We give them the place, the space, and it's been told that space is worth quite a bit.
A
nice space, so we take care of utilities and shoveling snow, and they do appreciate that as well. But so it's not, when we cut that budget, we didn't cut everything. Any other questions, comments to this contract? And or action?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve this contract for the county health nurse. Any discussion to that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is there any updates from the commission?
Couple on the highway side. Troy is working on putting together bids for crack sealing, patching, striping, gravel hauling, kind of all of it lumped into some other things. So kind of look forward to seeing that in the next couple meetings on some bids that we would like to let. Also, we're working through the process of what we're going to do with New Underwood Road and Elk Creek, or Elk Vale, the portion of Elk Vale that the Game Fish and Parks is picking up on the Odyssey. We'd like to get that all put together into bids as well. So look forward to that coming out soon.
Any other updates from the commission? Anything?
I've been taking a lot of questions on the new tax formula, and some guys who had built in last year that thought they should have been grandfathered into it and not kind of thrown out towards the end of the year. I did send you an email that was forwarded to me to look at, so we could discuss that. I don't know. There's not much for me to say on it because I don't quite.
Did you just send it?
Yeah, I just sent it. So, but just so you guys know, there has been a lot of questions from guys that had built last year that were not allowed to take it and are wondering why.
When you say new tax formula, are you referring to the discretionary?
Yeah, the discretionary tax formula that we passed. Okay. So there's just some questions out there from some of the newer business owners that are wondering why.
I'm guessing these are people I've talked to a couple times.
Yep.
Provide an update, I'm happy to do that to describe how the program works.
Yeah, and like I told them, in what we had discussed and how we went through, I'm still familiarizing myself with it, but they had a bunch of questions, and I've got an email, so I'll forward that to you as well.
Sure.
And then we can look at how we want to respond to that at that time.
Sure thing.
Guys?
Any other updates from the commission?
Black Hills Council met last week, and apparently south of us there was a lot more damage from that windstorm.
Oh yeah, you get down to like Custer State Park and stuff like that. It's
yeah,
really bad.
and but apparently if you do have damage, you can get like 75% of your cost of your tree removal through USDA. But I haven't. Has anybody heard of much? But apparently, it took out the whole fencing at the landfill and Rapid and everything, and we will meet the FEMA financial threshold. But I couldn't. Troy, do you have any signs or anything, or? Yeah, maybe you should get some of that stuff together.
Did we track the tree removal on the roads and signs?
Okay. Yeah, you're talking about the November one, correct?
But Troy, could you?
Right.
You're probably about done now, but that's going to have you come forward if you're.
Yeah, if you could get that stuff together, apparently we might be able to get some money back. And of course, another topic was the future of zoning in Meade County.
Any support?
Well, they all think it's needed.
And the problem I've had is I've had several people call that don't want it.
There's 30,000 people in the county. So.
Yeah, I mean, we're hearing from a very small circle.
Well, like I always say, once you open anything up, you hear from both sides.
As the history from the last time shows.
I guarantee you lose 50%. Every time you take a vote, you make 50% of the people mad. If you're lucky, just 50.
Any other updates from the commission? No, let's go down to the consent calendar. A motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Motion and second to approve the consent calendar. Any discussion to that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We do have a few things we need to discuss in exec today. Get a motion to go in exec.
I'll make a motion to go into executive for contractual and legal.
And personnel.
Personnel, yeah.
I'll second.
Motion is second to go into exec for contractual, legal, and personnel. Any discussion to that motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We're non-executive session.
Take your cattle out there. Oh, are you?
I'll declare us out of executive session. I believe we have completed our agenda and all the business today, so I'll declare us adjourned. Thank you.